Today, we are going to study the second section of the chapter, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe. In the second section, we are going to study the making of nationalism in Europe. Let us see 18th century political structure of Europe. In 18th century, Germany, Italy, Switzerland were divided into kingdoms, duchies and cantons. Like India is divided into native kingdoms before our independence. In the similar way, European countries were divided into a lot of kingdoms, duchies and cantons. Let us see what are these duchies and cantons. Canton, it's a subdivision of territory for the purpose of administration in some countries. Like India is divided into different states, state of Kerala, state of Maharashtra, state of Gujarat. In the same way, for the purpose of administration, countries are divided into a lot of subdivisions, and one of the subdivisions name is canton, and duchy is also similar thing. These are the territories which are ruled by duke or duchess. Duke male and duchess female. Duke means highest hereditary title. Hereditary title means generation wise from father to son to daughter. The position is transferred from generations to generation. Okay, so that is what we call the hereditary title. Okay. So let us see the map of Europe. You can see the countries: Switzerland. You can see the country Italy. Then you can see country of Germany. So these countries, the major countries, were divided into kingdoms, duchies, and cantons. So that is what we learned now. Now, what were the languages spoken by these people? Languages spoken by these people, or what are the different types of people living in these portions? So, Eastern and Central Europe were under autocratic monarchies. Now, what do you mean by autocracy? The power, if it is concentrated in the hand of a single individual, that is what we call autocratic monarchies. If the power is concentrated in a single hand, that is what we call autocratic monarchies. Monarchy means monarchy, single ruler. And in these territories, a territory will be under the control of a monarch. But in that territory only you will be seeing variety of people, different types of people you will see. A monarch will be ruling a territory, a monarch will be ruling a portion. In that entire territory, in that entire portion, you will see variety of people, diverse set of people you will see. And when different types of people are living in a single territory, they will not have a collective identity. So imagine a situation where Nepalis or Pakistanis or Sri Lankan people are living in our country. They will love their own country only. They will love their own culture only. They will not have any kind of allegiance to our nation. The people of India will love India. They will have that patriotic spirit. A collective identity is there. That is, we are the people of India. It is collective identity. That is your identity. Collective means as a group, what identity you are having and how this concept came, or how you became an Indian, because you share a similar culture, similar ethnicity. Because of that, that is what binding us together. And we have a single political territory. Often they spoke different languages and they belonged to different ethnic groups. Okay. They belong to different tribal groups. Ethnic groups means different family they belong, and they have different languages. This is the present situation, present country. You can see Norway, you can see Sweden, Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Bulgaria, Greece. These are the European countries. Then Spain, Portugal, United Kingdom. So during 18th century, the map was not like this. So let us see how the map looked like in the 18th century. See, you can see over here, Numerous countries are not here. You can see empire only, like Ottoman Empire you can see, then Habsburg Empire you can see, then another empire over here, another empire over here. In that way it was divided into different empires. In this Ottoman Empire and all, you can see different variety of people, diverse groups of people you can see. Even in Habsburg Empire too, you can see a wide variety of people, not by a single group. Okay. So here too, you can see Habsburg dominions, you can see over here. The Holy Roman Empire, you can see that is Italy, then France, then Spain, etc. Kingdom of Naples. Actually, this is entire region is Italy, but here Kingdom of Naples, that is different. Now, first we are going to study about Habsburg Empire. So Habsburg Empire is the name of an empire, like our Mughal Empire, Gupta Empire. So it is the name of an empire ruled over Austria and Hungary. And it was a patchwork of many regions and people. It was a big empire. Habsburg Empire was a big empire. It ruled over countries of Austria and Hungary. So here it is Austria and Hungary, these two countries. So this entire region, so this entire empire belonged to Habsburg dynasty, or it was known as Habsburg Empire. A big empire, very big empire. It included alpine regions of Tyrol, Austria, Sudetenland. So you can see here Tyrol and Austria you can see, then Hungary you can see, and similarly we are learning about more regions here, and these regions as well as Bohemia. So Bohemia also you can see over here, Bohemia. So the entire region was under the control of Habsburg Empire, and there majority of the people were German speaking. Habsburg Empire of Tyrol. In Habsburg Empire, you can see regions like Tyrol, Austria, Sudetenland, there, as well as Bohemia, there people were speaking German, and these were the German speaking areas. And similarly, Italian speaking areas were also there. Lombardy and Venetia, Italian speaking regions were also there under the control of Habsburg Empire, somewhat near southern region. And in Hungary, half of the people spoke Magyar, while the other half spoke a variety of dialects. So Magyar is another religion, language, not religion. It's a language, and that language was spoken by the people of Hungary. And other dialects were there. Dialects were there. Variations of this language was there. Okay, something related to Magyar was there. In Galicia, aristocracy. Aristocracy means the wealthy class people. They spoke Polish, not Poland. Poland is the name of a country. Polish. In Galicia, aristocracy spoke Polish. Galicia, you can see here. So here people spoke Polish. Okay, now that region come under the control of Poland, and at that time it was Galicia. And along with these groups, other groups were also there, like peasants were there, and majority of the peasants belonged to Bohemia. So Bohemians, Slovaks, the north, Slovenes in Carniola, the Croats in the south, and Romans in the east in Transylvania. So all these regions were under the control of the Habsburg Empire. Transylvania, you can see over here. Croatia, you can see here. And so all these major regions were under the control of Habsburg Empire. Okay, so it's a name of an empire. Such differences did not easily promote sense of political unity. So what we are trying to say is that the entire region was controlled by Habsburg Empire, the full region. Okay. A major portion of Europe was controlled by Habsburg Empire, but people living in this entire territory did not have a collective identity or they were not showing any kind of allegiance to Habsburg Empire, or they never had a feeling of oneness among themselves. So when we are living in India, we love each other and we are having the feeling that we are all Indians. So when we visit a foreign country and if we happen to meet an Indian, suddenly a patriotic feeling will come. That is, we are meeting in India, that feeling will come. Then afterwards, we will go and we will speak to that person from India, which part you are coming from, why are you here? In that way, we will have a sort of friendliness. So we are having that collective identity. That is why we are loving, respecting each other. So when Habsburg Empire was ruling this region, different variety of languages were there. It was different ethnic groups and different cultures were there. So because of that, collective identity was not possible under Habsburg Empire. That is what. Now, what was the social structure? So that was the political structure. Now let us see the social structure. Social classes of 18th century Europe. We will be focusing on aristocracy, that is landed class people and the middle class people. So first of all, let us see aristocracy. So landed aristocracy. Landed aristocracy means the landlord, those who had huge properties of large and large acres of land. They were the important class. They were the dominant class in Europe. Dominant means important. And they were united by a common way of life that cut across regional divisions. So you have seen how Europe was divided into different regions, like Habsburg Empire. You can see how it is divided into different regions, how they were divided into different kingdoms, and all you have seen. So aristocratic class, if you take that class itself, aristocratic class is the class which existed in almost all the part of Europe. So their behavior was identical. Aristocrat in France was identical to the aristocrat in Italy, was identical to the aristocrat in England, was identical to the aristocrat in Poland, was identical to the aristocrat in Germany. That is, that class had same behavior throughout the European continent. Their way of life, they had big bungalows or big houses, big estates, the dressing style, everything more or less similar and identical. They owned estates in countryside. They had huge estate. That means acres and acres of property in villages. And in town, they had townhouses. And in Europe, many of the aristocrats spoke French because French was a language which got or which used widely in Europe at that time and for the purpose of diplomacy. That is, if you are sending a messenger from one part to another, then they will all for official purpose. Diplomacy means for official purpose and all. They use the French, like in India, in court or in some of the places we are using English, then we are using Hindi in that way. So even though they had their own regional language, French had a dominant role, important role, predominant role. So for the purpose of diplomacy, for official uses, they spoke French. And they were often connected by ties of marriage. That is, if you want to marry your daughter to another family, first of all, they will marry their daughter to an aristocratic family only. Doesn't mean that aristocratic of your region, they will marry off their daughter to aristocrat of another region. Like they will, an aristocrat in France can marry another from another family of aristocrat living in Poland, or from the family of an aristocrat living in Italy, or from the family of an aristocrat living in Germany. But they will marry from aristocrats only. Doesn't mean that they will marry from the aristocratic family of their region. This is what I told you before. Their behavior, their way of living, their status, everything was similar across the continent. Throughout the Europe, their status was similar. And because of that, forget about the regions. That means irrespective of the regions, they were connected by the ties of marriage. That is, their marriage relations took place among the families of aristocrats throughout the Europe. But these people were numerically a small group. They were not the majority of population. They were a small group. Majority of the people were common people. That means the peasantry, farmers, and also you can see tenants. Tenants means landless people. They did not have land of their own. Then small owners of land was there, especially in that is western region of Europe. And in Eastern and Central Europe, the pattern of landholding was characterized by vast estates which were cultivated by serfs. Serfs means like slaves only, landless people only. As you all know, during the medieval period, they had a system called feudalism. The Europeans had a system called feudalism. The feudalism at the top level, then landlords, then landed peasant, landed class people, the peasants or farmers who had land, then the small farmers, then the landless people, then slaves. It was in that way. So serfs means the smaller group of people who did not have any kind of land and all, and they were under the control of big landlords or the farmers who had land. So it was more or less like slaves only. They were not a powerful group, even though a considerable number of population was there. Not very small group, but not very big group. Next class was, so that was about aristocrats. Now next is middle class people. So how was the behavior or how was the living style of the middle class people? That is what we are going to learn. Western and central parts of Europe, because of the Industrial Revolution. So Industrial Revolution started in the 16th century in England. And because of that, a new group started coming there. A new group emerged in English society. That was the middle class. So only agriculture was the important occupation until the Industrial Revolution. Majority of the people were farmers. People were working in farms. Because of the coming up of industries in cities, people started migrating from villages to cities for getting job. And a lot of industries were set up in towns. Because of that, migration was increasing day by day. Population was rising. A new group of people came into being, that is the middle class, working class people or the middle class people. That was a characteristic feature of the mid 18th century England, you can say. Industrialization began in England in the second half of the 18th century. So in the medieval period, you had landlord, these aristocrats, then slaves were there, then peasants were there, landless peasants were there. So that was the structure. But after industrialization, the class structure was changing. A new middle class came into being, predominantly the working class people. So in its way, because of its rising, new social groups came into being, that is a working class population, and the middle classes were made up of industrialists. So in the medieval period, industrialists, businessmen, and other professionals like teachers or lawyers, all these people did not have any kind of importance, but because of industrialization and all, groups started coming in society, and these groups were industrialists, businessmen, professionals, etc. In Central and Eastern Europe, these groups were smaller in number in 19th century. It was among the educated liberal middle classes. The ideas of national unity following the abolition of aristocratic privileges gained popularity. So after the 19th century, feudalism and all started declining, and even the landed class people or the rich people were not getting any kind of privileges. Because of education, other classes were growing, other classes became enlightened. They started questioning the authority of the rich class people and all. Liberal minded people were increasing, their industries were increasing. Because of these factors, the middle class got importance than the other group of people. So that is also happened in the 18th century. So two classes we studied. First is the aristocratic class, Is a landed aristocracy, those who had property, and their behavior, their living style, and the new middle class, the working class people. That is also we learned. Then we studied about the Habsburg Empire. So question can be asked to write, to give a brief description on Habsburg Empire. Then question can be asked to write about the landed aristocracy, then how a new middle class came into being in Europe after 18th century. All these questions can be asked. So thank you so much.